In a recent Oval Office meeting that quickly devolved into chaos, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio found himself the subject of social media scrutiny and late-night comedy sketches. The meeting, which featured President Donald Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, was intended to solidify economic partnerships and discuss U.S. support for Ukraine amidst its ongoing war. However, as heated exchanges erupted, observers noted Rubio's noticeably muted and disassociated demeanor, prompting a flurry of online commentary. The incident began with an inquiry from Brian Glenn, a White House correspondent for the pro-Trump network Real America's Voice, who questioned Zelensky about his decision to dress casually for the occasion. Zelensky's informal attire, a nod to the war-torn context of Ukraine, sparked a tense back-and-forth that culminated in loud accusations and finger-pointing. The meeting unraveled to such an extent that Zelensky was ultimately asked to leave without the intended economic deal being reached. This chaotic exchange drew immediate reactions from Ukraine's allies in Europe, who swiftly expressed their solidarity with Zelensky. Rubio's reactions during the debacle, or lack thereof, were captured on C-SPAN, leading to widespread amusement online. One user humorously remarked, "How we doin', bud?" alongside a screenshot of Rubio's side-eye glance at the escalating tension in the room. Another quipped that Rubio looked like his mom took his Nintendo Switch in church, encapsulating the absurdity of the moment. Following the meeting, Rubio took to social media to defend Trump and Vance, thanking them for their strong stance and stating, "America is with you." His post, however, was juxtaposed with a CNN interview in which he criticized Zelensky for his confrontational approach. There was no need for him to go in there and become antagonistic, Rubio asserted, suggesting that Zelensky's demeanor complicated the already strained negotiations. He went as far as to call for an apology from the Ukrainian president for what he termed a waste of time. Zelensky, for his part, stood firm in his refusal to apologize, insisting instead that he was committed to peace. During an interview with Fox News, he articulated Ukraine's readiness for a constructive dialogue but emphasized the need for a favorable negotiating position. "I want really him to be more at our side," he said, referring to Trump, and reiterated that Russia's aggression must be acknowledged and countered. The fallout from this tumultuous meeting raises significant questions about the future of U.S. assistance to Ukraine. The abrupt end to the discussions and the cancellation of a joint press conference with Trump signaled a troubling shift in diplomatic relations at a time when European leaders were pressing for a more proactive U.S. engagement in the negotiations. Rubio defended Trump's leadership, asserting that the president remains the only figure capable of facilitating a resolution to the ongoing conflict. "Tonight people will die in Ukraine. This is an unsustainable, bloody war that has to come to an end," he stated, stressing the urgent need for diplomatic engagement rather than hostility. As the dust settles from this contentious meeting, the broader implications for U.S.-Ukraine relations and the ongoing war in Ukraine remain uncertain. The exchange has not only highlighted the complexities of international diplomacy but has also cast a spotlight on the fluctuating dynamics within U.S. politics regarding foreign policy. Moving forward, the urgency to navigate these diplomatic waters will be paramount, and the actions taken by both U.S. leaders and Zelensky may very well determine the trajectory of support and negotiations in the months to come. In a startling declaration, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth asserted on March 5, 2025, that the United States is prepared for war with China in light of escalating tensions surrounding recent tariff threats. Hegseth's comments came just hours after Beijing responded aggressively to President Trump's decision to double tariffs on Chinese imports from 10% to 20%. In a segment on Fox News' Fox and Friends, he underscored the urgency of military readiness, saying those who long for peace must prepare for war. Hegseth's warning follows a statement from Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian, who declared that China is ready to fight any form of conflict, whether it be a tariff or trade war. The escalating rhetoric reflects a significant deterioration in U.S.-China relations, with both nations exchanging sharp threats. Hegseth elaborated on the United States military posture, emphasizing the need for a robust defense strategy against nations with differing ideologies, particularly as China continues to bolster its military capabilities. They're rapidly increasing their defense spending. Modern technology, they want to supplant the United States, he stated. In retaliation to the U.S. tariffs, China announced its own set of import levies which range from 10% to 15% on American agricultural products, and imposed restrictions on 25 U.S. firms, citing national security concerns. This tit-for-tat escalation not only threatens trade relations between the two superpowers but also raises the specter of broader geopolitical conflict. Hegseth's comments about military readiness seem to align with a broader U.S. defense strategy focused on deterrence and preparedness in the Indo-Pacific region. The Secretary of Defense reiterated that Trump's administration is dedicated to rebuilding the military, which he sees as crucial in preventing war. If we want to deter war with the Chinese or others, we have to be strong, he emphasized, reflecting a shift towards a more aggressive defense posture. Despite the rising tensions, Hegseth maintained that the U.S. aims for a constructive relationship with China, referencing the great relationship Trump has with Chinese President Xi Jinping. However, the situation remains precarious as both countries navigate the complexities of economic competition and military posturing. In addition to military matters, Hegseth made headlines earlier this week for directing the renaming of Fort Moore back to Fort Benning in honor of Corporal Fred G. Benning, a World War I hero. This decision highlights a continuing effort within the Department of Defense to honor historical military figures while addressing contemporary issues. As tensions between the U.S. and China escalate, the implications of Hegseth's statements and the actions taken by both nations will likely shape the international landscape in the coming months. Observers are left to ponder whether this rhetoric will lead to a more militarized approach in U.S. foreign policy or if it will prompt diplomatic efforts to de-escalate the situation. The world watches closely as the Biden administration navigates these turbulent waters, with the potential for significant ramifications on both a national and global scale. In a climate of increasing health concerns and rising misinformation, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the newly appointed Secretary of Health and Human Services, has ignited a contentious debate surrounding measles and vaccination. His recent comments urging parents to consider the measles, mumps, and rubella MMR vaccine come in response to a significant measles outbreak that has already led to the first measles-related death in the United States in a decade. As the outbreak continues to spread across Texas and beyond, health experts are expressing alarm over Kennedy's focus on unconventional treatments and his historical skepticism toward vaccines. Kennedy's op-ed published in Fox News Digital describes the ongoing outbreak as a call to action, urging parents to consult healthcare providers regarding the MMR vaccine, which is recognized as the most effective defense against measles. The decision to vaccinate is a personal one, he stated, highlighting the dual role vaccines play in protecting both individual children and community immunity. This message, however, comes with a controversial twist. Kennedy has also recommended vitamin A as a treatment to dramatically reduce measles mortality, a stance that has been met with skepticism from medical professionals. Experts including Dr. Sean T. O'Leary of the American Academy of Pediatrics emphasize that while vitamin A is beneficial for children diagnosed with measles to prevent complications, it should not be misconstrued as a preventive measure. The only effective way to prevent measles is the MMR vaccine, Dr. O'Leary asserted, underlining the critical nature of vaccinations in curbing outbreaks. The measles outbreak itself has been troubling. Since January, over 150 cases have been reported in Texas and neighboring states, predominantly among unvaccinated populations. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC) has linked declining vaccination rates, largely attributed to rampant misinformation about vaccines, to the resurgence of this once eradicated disease, which had been declared eliminated in 2000. Kennedy's remarks come at a pivotal moment, particularly following his appearance at a White House briefing where he controversially claimed 2 deaths had occurred due to the outbreak, a figure that contradicted official reports. His history of promoting debunked theories such as linking vaccines to autism raises questions about the credibility of his current recommendations. Despite his role as a health official, critics argue that Kennedy's previous stance on vaccines complicates public trust in his current messaging. While Kennedy emphasizes a shared responsibility among healthcare providers, community leaders, and policymakers to disseminate accurate information about vaccine safety, his focus on alternative treatments like vitamin A may inadvertently foster further confusion. The public's understanding of measles prevention could be jeopardized if unverified claims contribute to vaccine hesitancy, which has already been a significant issue in public health. As the situation unfolds, the potential for further outbreaks looms, with health officials urging a return to proactive vaccination strategies. Kennedy's dual approach, promoting vaccinations while also suggesting alternative treatments, highlights the complex landscape of public health communication in an era rife with misinformation. Looking ahead, the effectiveness of Kennedy's efforts in restoring public trust and increasing vaccination rates will be critical in combating current and future outbreaks as health experts continue to advocate for clarity and evidence-based practices in addressing vaccine-related concerns. In a politically charged atmosphere, Pam Bondi, the newly appointed U.S. Attorney General, faced intense scrutiny during her confirmation hearing held on January 15, 2025. The session, marked by fiery exchanges with Democratic senators, particularly Adam Schiff and Alex Padilla, highlighted the contentious nature of her nomination as well as the broader political landscape surrounding the Biden administration's Justice Department. Senator Padilla initiated the confrontation by questioning Bondi about her controversial remarks following the 2020 election, where she claimed victory in Pennsylvania alongside Rudy Giuliani. "Do you have any evidence of election fraud or irregularities in the 2020 election?" Padilla pressed, cutting her off repeatedly as she attempted to respond. Bondi, displaying a combative stance, retorted, "I'm not going to be bullied by you, Senator Padilla," underscoring her determination to maintain her ground amid the onslaught. The exchange escalated, with Bondi asserting her independence and refusing to engage in what she termed a gotcha game. The tension was palpable as Bondi navigated questions about sensitive topics such as birthright citizenship and potential investigations into former President Donald Trump. Schiff, a prominent critic of Trump during his presidency, pressed Bondi on whether she would reject politically motivated requests, particularly regarding investigations led by former special counsel Jack Smith. Bondi maintained that it would be irresponsible to commit to any action without reviewing the relevant files, which only fueled further tension. As the hearing progressed, Bondi assured senators that she recognized President Biden as the legitimate commander-in-chief, a point emphasized by Democratic members of the Senate Judiciary Committee. However, the real drama unfolded as she was prompted to address the independence of the Justice Department, a critical issue given the turbulent relationship between the previous administration and law enforcement agencies. Following her confirmation, Bondi's policies quickly attracted attention. In a Fox News interview shortly after her swearing-in, she confirmed that the Justice Department had fired all staff members associated with Jack Smith's investigation into Trump, signaling a sweeping purge of perceived adversaries within the agency. "Everything is on the table," Bondi declared, indicating a comprehensive review of personnel aimed at rooting out what she described as individuals who harbor animosity towards Trump. Her comments prompted concerns about potential politicization of the Justice Department, a topic she had previously downplayed during her confirmation hearing. The fallout from Bondi's actions reached the White House when she unexpectedly distributed binders titled Epstein Files, Phase 1 to MAGA-aligned influencers at a recent event. The release, which contained little new information about the notorious financier, drew criticism not only from Democrats but also from Trump loyalists, leading to speculation about a rift within the administration. White House staff reportedly expressed frustration over Bondi's lack of communication regarding the release, highlighting the potential for discord among Trump's inner circle. As Bondi embarks on her tenure as Attorney General, her approach to leadership at the Department of Justice promises to be marked by controversy. With a commitment to eliminate what she perceives as anti-Trump biases within the department, Bondi's actions will be closely scrutinized as they unfold. The implications of her policies could shape the landscape of federal law enforcement, raising questions about the balance between political influence and the impartiality that is expected of the nation's top legal institution. Looking ahead, Bondi's tenure is likely to be defined by ongoing tensions with Democrats and the complexities of navigating a deeply divided political environment. As investigations and personnel changes continue to unfold, the Justice Department under Bondi will not only face challenges related to its internal dynamics but also the broader implications of its actions on public trust and the rule of law. The coming months will reveal whether her bold promises translate into substantive changes or further entrench the partisan divides that have characterized recent years in American politics. In a bold move to address rising costs and invigorate the private sector, the Trump administration is set to implement a series of economic initiatives designed to tackle affordability challenges facing American households. With inflationary pressures and trade tensions mounting, the administration's focus on economic revitalization comes at a critical juncture for many citizens grappling with the rising costs of essential goods and services. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, a key figure in these initiatives, announced on Face the Nation that the U.S. government will create an affordability czar alongside an affordability council aimed at directly addressing soaring prices. Bessent stated, "We are laser-focused on this," as he highlighted the necessity of tackling high costs in sectors like housing, groceries, and transportation, which have seen significant price increases over the past 5 years. The goal is to identify 5 or 8 areas where this administration can make a big difference for working-class Americans. The administration's announcement follows a steep increase in tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico, which took effect this week. Economists predict that these tariffs could cost the average American household upwards of $1.200 annually, exacerbating financial strain as consumers already face heightened prices for necessities. David French, executive vice president of the National Retail Federation, warned that as long as these tariffs are in place, Americans will be forced to pay higher prices on household goods. In tandem with these economic strategies, the administration is also navigating complex diplomatic waters. Recent developments reveal that Ukrainian officials are expressing a renewed willingness to sign a pivotal minerals agreement following a breakdown in negotiations during a contentious meeting between President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. This proposed deal, which includes access to Ukraine's rare earth mineral reserves essential for technology and defense industries, has been complicated by the geopolitical landscape where roughly 20% of Ukraine's territory is under Russian control. Despite the challenges, President Zelensky remains optimistic, stating in a letter to Trump that nobody wants peace more than Ukrainians. The dynamics surrounding the minerals deal reflect broader tensions as both countries navigate economic recovery amidst conflict. The U.S. aims to enhance its supply of critical minerals, especially given that it holds only 1 to 2% of the world's rare earth elements, while Ukraine possesses about 5%. This disparity highlights the strategic importance of the deal to bolster U.S. resource security and reduce dependence on foreign supply chains. As the Trump administration pushes forward with its economic agenda, the introduction of the affordability czar signals a proactive approach to addressing consumer concerns. However, the path ahead is fraught with challenges, including potential backlash against tariffs and the delicate nature of international negotiations. Moving forward, the administration's strategies will need to balance immediate economic relief for Americans with the complexities of global trade and diplomatic relations, setting the stage for a potentially transformative year in U.S. economic policy. In a significant development for U.S. trade relations, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has hinted at a potential compromise regarding the contentious tariffs imposed on Canada and Mexico. Following a joint address to Congress by President Donald Trump where he reaffirmed his commitment to high tariffs, Lutnick indicated that the administration is contemplating a deal to scale back the 25% tariffs that have recently taken effect. Speaking with reporters, he suggested that an announcement could come as soon as Wednesday, marking a pivotal moment in U.S. Canada-Mexico trade relations. In the lead-up to the president's speech, Lutnick appeared on Fox Business where he expressed a belief that Trump would be willing to negotiate a middle ground with both Canada and Mexico. He's really looking carefully at that. Trying to figure out if there is a way in there that he can come in the middle where he can give the Canadians and Mexicans something but they have to do more, Lutnick stated. This indicates a shift from an outright tariff freeze to a more nuanced approach, suggesting that while tariffs will remain, certain goods might be exempted from the levies. The backdrop to these discussions is a volatile stock market that experienced sharp declines as investors grappled with fears that the tariffs, along with a doubling of duties on imports from China, could stoke inflation and ultimately harm the U.S. economy. However, stock futures showed signs of recovery as news of a potential compromise began to circulate. In his address, Trump acknowledged the risks associated with tariffs but underscored their necessity, stating tariffs are not just about protecting American jobs. They're about protecting the soul of our country. The economic implications of Lutnick's comments are substantial. With billions of dollars in goods crossing the U.S. Canada-Mexico border daily, any sustained disruption could lead to increased costs for consumers and businesses alike. Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly has responded cautiously, noting that her office had yet to be contacted regarding any plans to reduce tariffs. The only one that really takes a decision is President Trump, she remarked, highlighting the unpredictable nature of the current trade negotiations. As discussions evolve, the potential for exemptions, particularly for the automotive sector, has been raised. Lutnick noted that while there would still be tariff, specific categories may be left out, including possibly autos, which would be a welcome relief for manufacturers operating in these regions. This nuanced stance reflects growing concerns from businesses that have voiced their apprehensions about the economic impact of such tariffs. The implications of U.S. trade policies extend beyond North America, as Trump has also indicated plans for reciprocal tariffs on other countries he perceives as treating the U.S. unfairly. This broader strategy has sparked fears of escalating trade tensions, particularly with countries like China, which has already retaliated with its own tariffs on U.S. agricultural imports. As the situation continues to develop, all eyes will be on the anticipated announcement from the Trump administration. The potential scaling back of tariffs could signal a shift in U.S. trade policy. But it remains to be seen how far the administration is willing to go in accommodating Canada and Mexico without undermining its pro-tariff stance. With complex trade relationships at stake, businesses and consumers alike are left waiting to see how this intricate dance of negotiations unfolds.